Good morning and thank you for joining us for GMC Weekend. I'm Simon Williams. Now we're going to check in with meteorologist Kevin Jacobs. Kevin, you've been looking at the tropics recently. I hate to say it because we're just getting over Dorian,
Yes.
but there are some storms forming.
That's right, Simon. Now that Dorian is behind us, people are cleaning up right now. We are looking at two other disturbances out there in the tropics. Nothing really to be alarmed about right now, just to be mindful of them and keep looking for any updates. But right now we're high and dry across the area. Live Doppler 15,000 shows that these are those two disturbances out in the Atlantic right now over the next 5 days. The one that's right here in yellow has a 20% chance of further development over the next 5 days. And then you have this one out in the open Atlantic right now, 40% chance of further development. Now take a look at this one. This organized right now, I know it looks a little close to us, especially after Dorian. We don't want anything headed our way, but it is north of the Leeward Islands. But what we're focused on right now is some of the winds in the upper levels that's going to disrupt it from developing even more so. So it does have that potential that it could run into, and it's called wind shear. So that wind shear will be a factor as we look ahead between now and say Tuesday throughout the week. So it has a low chance of development over the next 5 days because of the winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere, which is not a good sign for any further development with the tropical system. So if that does happen, it will continue to weaken the system or keep it from developing even more so. I have more on your local forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Well, many in the PD and border belt were especially concerned ahead of Hurricane Dorian's arrival. Hurricane relief of a different kind falling across Marion County in the days after Hurricane Dorian blew across the Palmetto State. Ed Kitchen has lived in Mullins for nearly 50 years. Now, he knows, well, what it's like living along the rivers during storms like Matthew and Florence. He remembers the floods across the county during Hurricane Matthew in 2016, devastating parts of the county like Nichols.
Matthew was the worst by far because Marion County was really probably harder hit than any other county in the area.
I think it was a pretty light storm compared to the other ones we had in the past years. I didn't get much damage this year.
Now, Marion County Emergency Management says if you do have damage from the storm that you'd like them to look at, you can call them out to check it out. Now, we'll have that contact info on this story over on WPDE.com. Coast Guard officials say they've rescued nearly 300 people in the Bahamas since Hurricane Dorian response began. Officials are conducting air operations for search and rescue missions. The Coast Guard is also supporting the Bahamas National Emergency Management Agency and the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. Those are the leading search and rescue efforts. 9 Coast Guard cutters are providing hurricane response support. All ports have been reopened. The president says Bahamian officials tell him there would be more casualties on the island without help from the United States. In a tweet, he thanks the Bahamian prime minister for his kind words. He continued by saying, quote, "I give all credit to FEMA, the U.S. Coast Guard, and the brave people of the Bahamas." Right now, the death toll in the Bahamas sits at 30, including an 8-year-old boy who drowned. New for you this morning, the South Carolina GOP's executive committee voted yesterday to skip a presidential primary in 2020. The move leaves an open path for President Trump to win all of South Carolina's delegates without competition. It reflects Mr. Trump's strong support within the Republican establishment and the party's voters as he heads into his re-election campaign. The South Carolina Republican Party chairman says this move will save state taxpayers more than $1.2 million. Also new for you this morning, a board member from the Horry County Board of Education is out of jail. That's following a Friday arrest for driving under the influence. Holly Hennaford was booked in J. Reuben Long Friday evening for DUI. Hennaford represents the county school's 1st district. She served on the board since 2014, and her current term is running until 2022. Taking a look around the nation, crime victims are putting pressure on Congress to keep money flowing to process rape kits. The largest federal grant program designed to eliminate the decades-old problem of rape kit backlogs is now in jeopardy. Lisa Fletcher from our Sinclair sister station in Washington, D.C. explains why.
In 2004, Congress passed the Debbie Smith Act. It provided much-needed money to reduce the backlog of hundreds of thousands of unprocessed rape kits.
It's not about testing rape kits for me, but it is about every person represented by each of those kits.
Debbie Smith is the Act's namesake, after a 6.5-year wait for DNA evidence from her rape kit to get matched to her attacker.
One of the things that people don't understand is that this is not still the original backlog that we're talking about. We've got new backlog because of the success of this program.
Because of the Debbie Smith Act, 860,000 rape kits have been processed nationwide. But Smith says its effectiveness has brought more victims forward, knowing DNA can help solve their crime. She says about 200,000 kits remain untested. And if the House doesn't reauthorize the legislation by the end of September, it could all come to a screeching halt.
We need to get the politics out of it. Let it go through and let it continue to bring the hope to the victims that that's what its intention was.
In addition to helping identify suspects and create stronger cases for prosecutors, Smith says the kits also help exonerate those who are wrongly accused. In Washington, D.C., I'm Lisa Fletcher.
All right. Well, a wildfire burning in Tehama County, California, prompted authorities to issue mandatory and voluntary evacuation orders. As of Saturday night, the fire, dubbed the Red Bank Fire, is now over 8,800 acres and only 15% contained. It was sparked by lightning Thursday, about 25 miles west of Red Bluff, California. Well, the House Judiciary Committee is believed to be taking formal steps to try and impeach President Donald Trump. According to multiple sources familiar with the effort, the committee is expected to vote this week on a resolution laying out the procedures for an impeachment investigation. The vote will lay out the ground rules for conducting hearings. It's expected to follow the precedent that was set back in 1974 over the committee's proceedings during the Richard Nixon impeachment proceedings. Well, Felicity Huffman is asking for a lighter sentence in the college admissions scandal. The government has requested the actress be sentenced to a month of prison, followed by 12 months of supervised release. Now, she also faces a $20,000 fine. Instead, Huffman is asking for a year of probation, 250 hours of community service, and the $20,000 fine. Actress Eva Longoria, Huffman's husband, along with the 24 others, have written letters in support of Huffman. Now, she will be sentenced on September 13th. Federal and state health officials are joining the CDC to give one important message: stop vaping now. So far, 450 possible cases have been reported in 33 states. The number of vaping-related deaths has also risen to at least 5. The investigation is now looking into whether the illnesses are related to specific devices, other ingredients, possible contaminants, or a combination of all those factors.
We're letting these companies target our kids, appeal to our kids, and deceive our children, and they're showing up with respiratory illnesses no one can explain. This is why we're taking bold action here in Michigan. It's time for us to lead.
The American Vaping Association released a statement saying, in part, every day it is becoming more clear that these illnesses and deaths are being caused by THC-containing street vapes, not store-bought nicotine vaping products. An incredible sign of strength from an Iowa child. We'll show you the boy's journey to attend kindergarten.
Your Weather Authority forecast with meteorologist Kevin Jacobs.